Week 1 of the 2025 season is mostly done, and we're here to talk about it. Cecil, Lammey, Sigmund, Bloom on the Audible. Cue my theme music.
You got a team, here's a word of the wise. You want to dominate your league? Go to football, guys.
Football. I'm living in a fantasy. Football. Got everybody mad at me. Football. Cause every game I had to win. Football. I gotta be a champion. Football. I'm living in a fantasy.
All right, before we jump into the games and go beyond the box score, Sigmund, week 1 is always kind of interesting because it's an extension of the preseason, not for every team, but for a lot of teams. We didn't see their best product today.
No, I mean, it's tough to sort through what's valid with signal to noise. And certainly we've been watching very closely, and some of the stuff we're going to correct for matchups cease. Some of the stuff we're going to correct for injuries. Some of the stuff we're going to correct just because a few teams needed a few weeks to knock off the rust or get to the bye week and self-assess. But the NFL continues to be the great American novel. No one's going to write the great American novel now. The NFL is authoring it for us. And if you look at the stories that were set up for week 1, we got a lot of value this week. The writers of the NFL did really good.
Yeah, writers of the NFL did good. It's good to be back live with you all here, including Bob Harris. Hi, Bob. How's it going? Chris saying woo.
Yes.
And Aaron saying, here we go, football guys. And there we go. Here we go. And here we go talking about Kyler Murray and those Saints uniforms that look like CU uniforms. But either way, it's 20-13. The Cardinals get the win over the Saints. And Kyler Murray goes 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs, 38 yards on the ground there as well. Marvin Harrison Jr., good to see that connection warming up with some big plays down the sidelines and then a touchdown, 5 for 71 and a touch there. Trey McBride, 6 for 61 there. James Conner getting a receiving touchdown and also 12 for 39 on the ground, but it's Trey Benson with 69 yards, so 8 carries for him, but 69, nice on the ground for Benson. Also a catch for 6 yards. And outside of the backs and Harrison and McBride, boy, talk about no one else did anything else, but it was enough to beat the Saints.
Yeah, this isn't an offense that wants to push the envelope, and they led comfortably for most of the day. Spencer Rattler did drive the Saints down to a chance to tie late. So if we're going to take away anything from this game, it's all positive for Kyler Murray, who was looking like he had the juice as a runner back that we hadn't seen the last 2 years, connecting with Marvin Harrison Jr. on a feather touch deep ball, and then also on a 2nd and goal that was designed for Harrison and his big body to create that big target for Kyler Murray. Of course, he's going to find Trey McBride. He didn't really have to push the issue, and he still had about a 20-point fantasy game in this one. So I think in matchups where he might have to push it out, granted, it looks like he's in a really tough division defensively. The NFC West there's no easy outs defensively, but overall you have to be happy with what you saw from Kyler Murray, from Marvin Harrison. There's more of a connection there. James Harrison did catch a shovel pass for a touchdown. Later on in the game, though, Trey Benson broke a 50-yard run, and it seemed like they preferred him to salt the game away. So maybe it's not a true 2 number 1 running backs like James Conner said, but Trey Benson is showing what he has to offer. Kind of a ho-hum week 1 win, which is what we expected here. Maybe another ho-hum win next week against Carolina.
Now I know you got Super Bowl 43 on your mind because you said James Harrison instead of James Conner.
Steelers, man.
Steelers on the mind, on the brain.
Steelers. When are we going to get to talk about the Steelers?
Woo-hoo! Let's talk about Spencer Rattler first, but 214 through the air. Does he hold on to the starting job? Alvin Kamara, 11 for 45 and a rushing touchdown here. Rattler also with 29 yards running. Kendra Miller, we're watching dynasty-wise, 5 for 24 in this contest. Juwan Johnson, 8 for 76. And then Chris Olave, 7 for 54. Devon Bailey, 1 for 13. So there you go. Brandon Cooks, 3 for 26. Rashid Shaheed, 6 for 33. Maybe you had him as a what-the-heck flex, but either outside of Olave and Kamara, you really shouldn't be leaning on your Saints very much.
No, and Cease, this doesn't apply to every team. This is going to sound like very faint praise for the Saints. It wasn't as bad as we thought it was going to be, right? And there are some teams we're going to say it was worse than we thought it was going to be, right? So the Saints, it wasn't as bad. Spencer Rattler wasn't overwhelmed. He was able to get the ball a lot of short targets to Juwan Johnson. He'll be on the waiver wire show. Chris Olave got a little banged up. He got the targets he was looking for. Rashid Shaheed taking a pass interference that wasn't called. That was all too eerily familiar for Saints fans. But this is going to be a long season. And Alvin Kamara, I guess you get to get the touchdown. You did see, he's still Alvin Kamara, but the short receptions weren't there. Again, it was more Olave with a lot of short stuff, Juwan Jennings with a lot of short stuff. So that was maybe the little bit of a letdown there. Otherwise, this is any game that the Saints are competitive in, that it's in question down to the end. That's a moral victory, if there is such a thing. We'll see if they can do it next week against San Francisco.
Yeah, let's go. Next game up, Indy and Miami. And as I put it on the orange-blue postgame, I saw some really good football today, and I saw the Dolphins.
Yeah.
It was not fun. Dude, it's week one. And maybe it's because, I've known Mike McDaniel since he was a teenager, and I like him, and he's going to get fired before Christmas. But, it's just watching Tua. Just watching Tyreek being frustrated on the sidelines. Do I even need to go through the box score?
No.
HN with whatever, but it's like the Dolphins out and out suck. And, I don't know what that says about Daniel Jones. He's not that bad, everybody. I don't know what this means because Miami is so flipping bad.
Yeah, and it's really just a question of, Cecil, we're already going into week 2, and I know you can identify different times in the season when this usually happens, usually later than week 2, where, hey, we're just going to find out if these guys are going to play for their coach. And the thing is, and I know I'm the mayor of Narrative Street, but that's the only way, if there is a way to see things like this coming, that's the only way. And you know what the telltale sign was this offseason, Cease? It was them saying, no, for real, this time we're doing a culture change. I know we said we were doing one last year, but this year we're really doing the culture change. It's over. Tyreek Hill is going to be a Chief any day now. If you're the Dolphins, why are you holding on to any other expiring assets? They already traded Jalen Ramsey this offseason. They already traded Johnny Smith this offseason. Why are you even holding on to Tyreek Hill? If it was basically drives that had no chance of going anywhere, or turnovers, and a garbage time touchdown for Devin Achane, who looked fine. If there's good news here, it's that Devin Achane's calf was not an issue. I don't know if Tyreek Hill's oblique was an issue because this team's not going to be able to throw downfield. Austin Jackson got banged up on the offensive line. James Daniels has a pec injury. Like you said, Tyreek Hill's unhappy. Jalen Waddle still didn't do anything. Maybe if Tyreek Hill gets traded, there'll be something there for Jalen Waddle, but there's nothing there. This team is going to get blown up at some point. New England, this is your tune-up. See, this is what we're going to keep saying. If they can't get it done against Miami or Cincinnati, then we should be really worried. So Drake May and company, Miami fans, it's going to be really interesting to see what the reception of the fans for the team coming home for their home opener next week.
Yeah, and then what do we learn about Indianapolis? Because Daniel Jones wasn't terrible. In fact, he was damn precise. 22 of 29, 272, 1 touchdown, no INTs, also 26 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor was 71 on the ground. DJ Giddens, 41 on the ground. Gotta watch out for them Big 12 runners, girl. Then Michael Pittman, 6 for 80 and a touch. Tyler Warren, 7 for 76. Okay, Alec Pierce, whatever, 1 for 36. But okay, Daniel Jones, good job. It's at home and it's against the Dolphins.
Yeah,
Next
exactly.
week against the Broncos, it's going to be a little bit different.
Talk about going to opposite ends of the spectrum. But this is what you're supposed to do against defenses that are, half-assed. Sorry, Joe. Quarter-assed. I don't even know how much ass there is. That's for my buddy Scott Barrett, too. But it was terrible. It was really embarrassing, honestly. So is Daniel Jones back? Well, let's see how he does against Denver next week, but certainly he's going to be on the waiver wire show. You're seeing him vulturing the goal line touchdowns from Jonathan Taylor. Don't worry about DJ Giddens and his 12 carries. That was all when the game was basically out of hand. So Jonathan Taylor's going to get his. Michael Pittman, remember a couple of years ago, we're seeing him as a number 1 receiver on the rise, and then Anthony Richardson happened, and a back injury happened. He's looking like a number 1 receiver on the rise again, and Tyler Warren. And again, every single report said they love him. They're going to feature him right away from game one, and they did. What that means is Josh Downs, who is coming in off of a hamstring injury, so maybe that slowed him a little bit, but Daniel Jones, unless he faces Miami every week, and maybe even not, he's not going to support more than 2 fantasy options. Adonai Mitchell is going to do some things, so it's going to be tough for Josh Downs. Maybe he's not a shut him down yet, but we may get there, even though he's got immense ability. But again, this is one of those things. It's a perfect point to set up where we get week one. What did week one mean? Well, we can take a stab at it, and that's what we're going to do. Hanging out. By the way, everyone, hi, I love you. But next week we may recontextualize week one and say, well, that isn't what it meant. What was that really about? So stay tuned.
Stay tuned, as always. Paquito,
yeah,
that's the way I'll pronounce it, says, should we buy Tyreek? Yes.
I mean, it depends on the price, but in a dynasty league where you might be able to get him,
everyone's going to be down on him. So,
yeah, I mean, this is a week. Like if you can get him for a 2nd round pick and get a 4th round pick back or something like that, I mean, he could have that kind of impact. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see if Kansas City wants him back, but judging by what happened Friday night, they should.
It's time for the low ball, and not just because we're old. Sorry, Joe. Let's move on. Las Vegas Raiders versus New England Patriots. And thank you, Bloom, for repurposing the best quote from another Tyler Dunn banger on the Ryan Poles thing. The guys were making fun of Drake May. Seriously? You guys are making fun of Drake May? For the love of God, Chicago. 20-13, the final score. The Raiders get the win, but at what cost? You're going to know more about this than I, because I was in Broncos mode, but the Brock Bowers injury, we can talk about Genty and the 2 yards of carry or whatever.
Right.
We can talk about Geno, 362. Yeah, but Brock Bowers has a knee injury. That's the only thing we need to talk about the Raiders now.
Yeah, we'll start there. We'll start with Brock Bowers Day, because for fantasy football, this one was a real doozy. About 16 snaps into the game, he was on the field for 5 of them. We saw this happen in the preseason. Well, it's preseason. It's your best player. But partway through the game, even though they were getting cute with the tight end by committee, he had 5 catches for 103 yards. He was getting free in the defense, making stuff happen like Brock Bowers does. Then he leaves the game with a knee injury. He says he's fine. He says his knee feels fine. They ask him about week 2. It's a Monday night game, and he did note they have an extra day. And he said, we'll see. So I think we averted disaster here. But if you have Brock Bowers, it's Monday night, and at least we should expect a game time decision. That's probably a win if he's a game time decision. That means you need to have Tyler Conklin or Michael Mayer. We'll talk about this on the waiver wire show. But it's like, they're not using Brock Bowers, and Brock Bowers says it doesn't matter. I'm Brock Bowers. And the offense really is better. The offense is so much better. Geno Smith back with Pete Carroll, right? With Chip Kelly, with Jacoby Myers, who's just so very reliable. And you saw Trey Tucker get that touchdown early. Michael Mayer actually is a pretty good second receiving tight end. Dante Thornton can make some plays. So it's not as great of an outlook next week against the Chargers. And the Chargers defense was pretty good in week 1. But overall, and Ashton Genty just ran for 2 yards of carry. He showed that great contact balance on the touchdown. And if this offense, he's the clear lead back, Raheem Mostert was a healthy scratch. If this offense is better, the results are going to come for Genty. Don't worry. I mean, who even really went off among running backs? A lot of people disappointed with the running backs. You shouldn't be disappointed with this offense. Vegas fans, Raiders fans, you should be happy as they have their home opener again against the Chargers. If they can beat the Chargers after what the Chargers did to the Chiefs, I'm really excited.
Yeah, really, really, really excited. Drake May, 287, 1 up and 1 down, 1 TD, 1 INT. Kayshon Boutte, we're going to talk about him on the waiver show. 6 for 103. Hunter Henry, 4 for 66, including some grabs where it's just like it teleported literally into his hands.
Right.
So coming through for Drake May. And man, I mean, Drake May played hero ball. Full disclosure, he was my number 3 quarterback last year. But I'm like, now I'm just rooting for him so much to just shove it in Chicago's face. Stephon Diggs, 6 for 57 in this one. Trevion Henderson, 5 for 27 on the ground, and then 6 for 24 as a receiver. So let's talk about New England falling short here in this opener, but some things to look to with some positivity.
Yeah, you saw Drake May not making enough plays, but as you said, as a second-year quarterback, still really willing to put the offense on his shoulders. This wasn't a Raiders defense that we were that scared of. I mean, we'll again continue to recontextualize that, and we'll see if he has more success against Miami next week. But what you did see is the headliner here was Kayshon Boutte, and there was some foreshadowing here. Jeff Howe used to cover the Patriots. Now he's an insider for the Athletic. He had this piece, 32 teams, intel on all 32 teams. And one of the things in the Patriots piece was that Boutte had a stunning turnaround this offseason and summer. And then you saw the results here. So Kyle Williams, going to put that on hold. Demario Douglas, going to put that on hold. He did get a touchdown. And then Stephon Diggs got those short targets. Now he's coming back from ACL tears. This isn't too bad. Maybe if Kayshon Boutte is opening up more downfield, that opens up more for Diggs. Like you said, Hunter Henry's making some plays. Now we did see Trevion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson in a 50-50 committee. And we did see Trevion Henderson get 6 catches. That's the good news. The bad news is no big plays. And maybe he'll start to tilt that split in his favor. But until that happens, you're looking at him as basically a flex play. Now, next week against Miami, maybe he's a running back too. And Ramondre Stevenson still made some plays too. But overall, everything's on track for this team. It was first win. I got to mention this, by the way, Cecil. First win. You want to talk about exercise the demons of the Tuck rule? First win for the Raiders in Foxborough since they were the LA Raiders.
Wow.
So that stuff matters. Okay? Come take a walk down Narrative Street with me. You want to feel like things are changing for Vegas? They're changing. New England, maybe you're a year or two from those kind of wins, but the pieces are in place.
Yeah, pieces are in place, and it's somewhat exciting to watch. Let's talk about King of the Castle. I love Jaden Daniels. I expect somewhat of a step back this year, basically because I don't believe in the guys around him other than Bill. We'll get to Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt in just a little bit, but Commanders win over the Giants 21-6. When can Jackson Dart play? Russell Wilson's the same old. It's not great, Bob. Whatever. Like Malik Neighbors, at least he threw up that one. Hey, Russell Wilson throwing moonballs. And he showed his toughness, right? He did the Russell Wilson thing of like taking a big shot and firing it downfield. But it's still not leading to wins. He still looks like Russell Wilson now, today's version of Russell Wilson. And it's broken. So don't give me the 44 yards on the ground or whatever. And Tyrone Tracy, 24. And Scatterboo was physical. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. But so long as Russell Wilson is your quarterback, this is what you're going to get if you're the Giants.
See, you ever drink milk right out of the carton?
Oh, yeah.
So it's risky because if you do it after their expiration date, you might be like spitting it out, right? Like, oh boy, I hope you're not facing anything. And you wondered when the expiration date was on the Russell Wilson milk this year, right? Did you have week 1? Because you spit that out today. Oh my, this is rotten.
Yes.
This is spoiled.
Yes.
And the good news is that Jackson Dart had a revelation of a preseason in camp. I mean, he basically came into camp and they said they threw a lot of stuff at him and he was rolling with everything. He's ready. So the good news is Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson, he's not going to go away. Tyrone Tracy and Cam Scatterboo or a bit of a committee. It's tough if they're going to play it that way to even recommend holding these guys, but you do because of Jackson Dart. And I think it's not just because of what we heard about him as far as what he can do on the field, but also because teams take on the personality of their quarterback and their head coach. We don't want the personality of Brian Dable, okay? Like we've seen where that's going to take this team. Maybe the personality of Jackson Dart can take this team someplace else and take this team for fantasy someplace else. As far as next week, though, the team's going to be going to face Dallas. They're going to Arlington. So maybe that's where we see our first Jackson Dart start.
There is Jaden Daniels, 233, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Deebo Samuel was 7 for 77. It was Zach Ertz who had the touchdown. And then you're looking Terry McLaurin, 2 for 27. And then there's good old Bill, Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt, 10 for 82 and a rushing touchdown. Great play. Was targeted once in the receiving game. And then Jaden Daniels was 68 yards on the ground. Deebo Samuel with a rushing touchdown here. So, yeah, I don't care if he was 4th on the depth chart. It was nice to see good old JCM. That's what I'm going to call him.
Yeah.
I'm going to call him JCM.
Yeah, we can
number
handle
one of my
that.
hearts.
Oh, have you seen some of the names we had to pronounce over these 20 years, folks? Jacory Krosky Merritt. I can handle all
Ben
that.
Jarvis Green Ellis, the law
Yeah,
firm.
the law firm, and so many more. Join us on a trip down memory lane. Join us on a trip down memory lane to this morning when Chris Rodriguez was declared inactive. That was like, oh, okay. Now we may be getting somewhere. Now, at the beginning of the game was more Austin Eckler, but you saw Bill get the touchdown. You saw him get a nice 40-plus yard run to help salt away the game. More opportunities are coming for him. By the way, it's Green Bay, tougher matchup for them next week. But at the very least, you're happy you drafted him. Maybe he's even a flex. You did see Jaden Daniels. He didn't quite light it up. Got the touchdown to Ertz. Got a touchdown to that's it. Because Deebo Samuel ran in the other one. So there's your opportunity. Just one carry, but 19 yards and a touchdown for Deebo. Deebo looked good. It was the pneumonia, folks. He's fine. And he's going to be the favored target. Jaden Daniels is smart. You need a first down, you're going to go to Deebo. Now, there was one ball when Terry McLaurin was free deep, and Jaden Daniel just overthrew him. So maybe we'd be talking about this game a little bit differently. This is another game where it was pretty comfortable for this team, with the exception of, say, Brian Burns. There's that pass rush for the Giants getting after Jaden Daniels. But overall, Washington, everything's on track. Now, again, next week against Green Bay and Lambeau, that's a tougher place to stay on track. You got to feel good after this week.
I feel good seeing all of our friends, our dear friends here in the chat room, and everyone else. By the way, Captain Moistbeard.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe, I guess. Depends on why your beard's moist, am I right?
Milk, because you're drinking the milk out of the cart.
Of course. There you go. He said, I don't know why Jaden would take a step back this year. For me, and he's my number one quarterback last year. I absolutely love him. But it's the talent around. I don't like the guys they put around him.
Yeah, and I would just
done a much better job than.
And Cliff. I mean, the thing is, like, do you trust Cliff to anticipate the counter punch? Right.
With Cliff.
Right. So can he be ready to counter punch the counter punch? But maybe Jaden Daniels is so good, doesn't matter.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe Trevor Lawrence isn't good. As I watched that game and I watched Travis, get thrown around like a rag doll a couple times, I was just like, wow, Trevor Lawrence is just not good, everybody. Again, week 1, no final determinations. You know me and my history with Jacksonville fans. They really love Blaine Gabbert. I'm sorry, he wasn't the guy. 26-10 is the final score. Jacksonville gets the win. Carolina gets beat, and Bryce Young goes for 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. Ted McMillan, who did work Travis Hunter when it was Arizona versus Colorado. So Ted McMillan, 5 for 68, including 1 on Travis. Chuba Hubbard, 3 for 32 and a receiving touchdown. Chuba also with 57 yards on the ground. Jatavian Sanders, watching him in Deep Dynasty, and Hunter Renfrow just missed a long one. Xavier Legette didn't do a whole lot. So let's talk Carolina. And I'm not saying, the excitement has gone away, but okay, you just see kind of the limitations of this roster.
Well, and you have a year that you felt like, okay, it's not just going to be more of the same, but it looked like more of the same, really. It looked like Bryce Young and the confidence he had gained after the bye last year has just evaporated. It looked like Dave Canales didn't have this team better prepared than he did at times last year when they looked like they were going to have to tear that team down. So what can Bryce Young support? Well, Tedro McMillan's value. Chuba Hubbard was the clear lead back, even though they like Rico Dowdle, and Chuba got the basically garbage time touchdown. But for Carolina fans, you've got this Canales Young era. And if we're going to say stuck at this mediocrity purgatory, if we don't make progress as the year goes on beyond where they finish the year, then you have to wonder, is ownership I've heard that Carolina's ownership can be impatient or a bit testy. So a game like this makes you wonder, but hey, for Jacksonville's ownership, at least for a game, looks pretty good.
Yeah, looks good. And then we'll continue to watch Trevor. As Little Big Man says, Trevor looked inconsistent. Yeah, that's right. And again, one game, trust in Liam Cohen to get the best out of Trevor, whatever that's going to be. But 19-31, 178, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. And not only did he look inconsistent, Bloom, he looked uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I don't necessarily think that's like seeing ghosts or whatever, but it's just like your quarterback should be like in command and in charge. And yeah, giving it to Travis Etienne for 143 yards, including the big 71-yarder. So wish he would have scored on that one, but still. Brian Thomas with the rushing touchdown. Hunter Long with the receiving touchdown here. Brenton Strange, 59 yards. Travis Hunter, 33 yards. De'Ami Brown, 52 yards. BTJ with one for 11 in this one. So, like, it was the ETN day. Happy ETN day, everybody. But for me, I just kept watching Trevor. I was like, I wanted you to be great, man. And you haven't been great. Gonna give him this whole year with Liam Cohen. And then after that, it's judgment time.
Yeah, it is. And the good news is that the running game is on track now with Travis Etienne. That's one of the big headlines for fantasy this week. Will be some Jacksonville running backs coming soon to your Shut 'em Down segment. And you did have at least Lawrence distributing the ball, but this isn't what you were looking for if you got Brian Thomas Jr., who at least scored on a rushing carry. Travis Hunter just catching a lot of short stuff. De'Ami Brown got involved. Brenton Strange got involved. And if that's how it's going to go, well, maybe it's because this was a comfortable win. But like you said, Cecil, if he was put under pressure, that he being Trevor Lawrence and the game was on his shoulders, that's not something you would look forward to. Now, the good news is that we should have some resolution here. And by the way, Carolina's run defense, Derek Brown's back, run defense. I don't know. We'll see. Next week, again, as James Conner and Trey Benson get to take aim at the Carolina defense. Next week, Trevor Lawrence goes to Cincinnati. So if he looks like this against Cincinnati, then I don't know how much further we have to go into the season, because Cincinnati is one of the worst defenses in the 20 years that we've been doing this show. Okay. So we will get some resolution on this, but like you said, early returns on Trevor Lawrence, not making the big leap with Liam Cohen.
Yeah, not making that leap. Put a pin in it. We'll circle back. That's for sure. The Cincinnati Bengals won barely over the Cleveland Browns. It's week 1. There's a bunch of false positives. We know that Cincinnati usually starts out poorly anyway, and that means we're going to talk about Joe Burrow and those poor starts for Burrow here. Fantasy GM's very upset because he goes for 113 yards, 1 touchdown on the day, and it's to Noah Fant. Yeah, that guy. He tried it with Gesicki. What was that, like the play right before that Fant play? Or like 2 plays before the Fant play? It was like, oh, he's going for Gesicki. Didn't connect. Then he connected with Fant. Jamar Chase, 2 for 26. Oh. T. Higgins, 3 for 33. Okay. Chase Brown running hard for 2 yards a carry. 1 rushing touchdown. So it's like, all right, Cincy, gonna ramp this thing up here. They will. Still don't play defense, but it's Cincinnati and it's week 1, so you kind of should expect this.
Kinda, Cease. I'm worried, or at the very least.
Really?
Well, here's the thing, okay? And Joe Burrow never really lights up Cleveland, never really lights up in week 1. These are fair points, okay? And this is one of those games where the two sides, the takes kind of intertwine. And what is this about? This is about how the quality of your defense can affect the fantasy opportunity for your offense. All right. Cincinnati, unless you're counting them getting the ball back with 23 seconds left in the first half, Cincinnati had 3 possessions in the first half. They had 3 possessions in a half of football. I don't care how good your offense is. If you're only getting the ball 3 times in a half, that's a problem. You might say, well, okay, hey, they scored touchdowns on 2 of those drives, but it was Cleveland. It was Cleveland. It was a team led by 40-year-old Joe Flacco with Dylan Sampson and Jerome Ford in the back field, and Jerry Jeudy and Cedric Tillman, and their big game plan was we're going to get the ball in Harold Fannon's hands. And this team was able to grind out long drives. That offensive personnel was able to grind out long drives against this Cincinnati defense. What's going to happen when they play a real offense? Now, again, next week it's Jacksonville. I don't know if Jacksonville is a real offense or not, but you can see how you can see games cease where you're going to blink and it's going to be like 28-7 in the first half. Your garbage time and things like that. This is not, if you watch this game and it gave you anything but a sense of dread about the week-to-week variability for this Bengals offense, because they gave up a 36-minute time of possession to the Browns. What's going to happen when they have a team that can competently run the ball? What's going to happen to a team that has NFL quality downfield targets or a quarterback that's not 40 and past his prime? So this is a problem. This is one of the situations where in fantasy football, we have this analysis. Oh, their defense is so bad. They have shootouts and all that. No. The defense could be so bad that you don't get a chance to have a shootout. You just shoot yourself in the foot.
Well, and that's the thing you mentioned with Dylan Simpson. What does he have, like 2 yards to carry?
Right.
So you can give up that time of possession if you're facing King Henry or whatever. And it's like they're just running it. You can't stop them, and they just keep using time of possession. They couldn't run the ball. Can you take anything away other than, man, can't wait for Quinshawn Judkins to be out there.
Right.
Can you take anything away from, and will we say that every week about the opponents of Cincinnati? Like, hey, they had an okay game, but I can't really tell because it's
Cincinnati, because it was really that bad. It was that bad in the preseason too. So this is one where if you watch them against Washington, Chris Rodriguez not up for game 1, but looked like a starting running back against Cincinnati. Okay. Harold Fannin, I mean, this is another one of those cases like Tyler Warren. They loved him. Lots of reports. They loved him in the draft. They were going to feature him, and they sure did. Bad for David Njoku, who's not going to get those tight end targets by design now. You did see, well, hey, Joe Flacco's going to throw the ball a lot, and he's going to be semi-accurate. So Jerry Jeudy got his volume. Cedric Tillman got his touchdown and got his volume. Also had a drop. So this is what had to happen for the Browns to lose this game. They had to miss an extra point. They had to miss a chip shot field goal. New kicker coming, Andre Schmidt. I'm not going to say Syracuse. Oops, I said he was from Syracuse. And then Cedric Tillman just basically juggled a ball to a Bengals defender to end the last opportunity they had to win this game. They should have won this game. Like 4 or 5 different ways they should have won this game. There's going to be a lot of short passing. Like you said, Quinshawn Judkins is coming. But next week, they go to Baltimore. So you want to talk about a contrast? Playing Cincinnati and then the next week playing Baltimore. Whew. Yeah, welcome back to the NFL, Cleveland.
That's going to be a little bit rough, or a lot of rough. We'll say that. Tampa Bay and Atlanta is the next game we're going to talk about. 23-20, the final score. The Buccaneers getting the win, and Baker the Baby Maker, 167, 3 touchdowns. 2 of them to Emeka Egbuka, 4 for 67 and 2 receiving touchdowns. Very nice. Bucky Irving is king of the castle as he gets to hit that pylon as a receiver and then has 14 for 37 as a runner. Mayfield actually led the Buccaneers in rushing with 39 yards on the ground. Rashad White barely did anything. Mike Evans, 5 for 51. It's enough, buddy, enough. Sterling Shepard, 3 for 39 in this contest. So it's a win. And again, it's week 1. These teams know each other. Atlanta's very, very interesting to me. But Tampa, this is kind of what we thought.
It's time for us to really recognize Baker Mayfield as one of the best quarterbacks in the game. It's time. It's time because this is a hallmark of the great quarterbacks. You win ugly. You win when you shouldn't win. And you do it on the road, and you do it in the division. Because if you said, no Chris Godwin, Tristan Wirfs is out, this is not going to be a cakewalk for the Bucs offense. You were right. Baker Mayfield had to grind out everything. The running game wasn't going, but he was able to find Emeka Egbuka twice, beating his man, just straight up beating his man. And Mayfield's field vision, Mayfield's timing, and Mayfield's guts as a quarterback are all top notch. So those were seemingly easy touchdowns, like the kind of touchdown when the ball's in the air, Cease, you don't even need, as long as the guy doesn't just cold drop it, like, oh, that's a touchdown. Like you see it when the ball's in the air. That's a touchdown. And it's a great sign for Egbuka. It's a great sign. Mike Evans didn't have a big game, but it's a tough matchup against AJ Terrell. Again, Bucky Irving got that touchdown diving for the pylon. So that's a lot of running backs. The theme of the day for running backs that you drafted high was at least they got a touchdown, or at least, they got 100 total yards like Jonathan Taylor. It was not a big day for the running backs, but it was for a day that everything came hard for Baker Mayfield. He still had like 24 fantasy points. And know that the schedule's going to get tough. He's used to next week. And then it's going to get easy. And when it gets easy, that's when he's going to get back Tristan Wirfs. That's when he's going to get back Chris Godwin. And look out, folks. So you win ugly on the road, missing some of your best players in the division. This is a team that's won the division 4 times in a row, and they're on their way to doing it for a 5th time.
Yeah, Charlie says in the chat room, if the Bucs didn't lose in Atlanta, what division game are they going
to Exactly.
Exactly. And then Moist Beard says, he's up, bro. They won because Koo missed a game.
Yeah, but before that, Chase McLaughlin missed a chip shot, and Chase McLaughlin missed an extra point right before that. So, kickers, another theme of week 1, kickers letting us down.
It happens. Michael Penix, man, he can sling it, man. He absolutely can fit it in there, and as an advanced passer, he can do a little bit with his legs. You see a rushing touchdown today from Penix. You see him go for almost 300 yards, 298, 1 touchdown, no INTs. Bijan Robinson with 6 for 100 as a receiver and a receiving touchdown, which was beautiful, by the way, earlier in this contest. 12 for 24 on the ground for Robinson, so you want that bumped up. Tyler Algier goes 10 for 24 on the ground. You want that a little bit bumped up. 28 rushing attempts as a team compared to 42 passing attempts for a team. Kyle Pitts, 7 for 59. Okay, Drake London, 8 for 55. Not much else. Ray had 3 for 51. And not much else from anyone because not very many people caught the ball other than that. Casey Washington, 3 for 33. Hell, I'll mention everybody.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Atlanta and just kind of, it's there. The pieces are there. The pieces there. And Penix is fun to watch.
Yeah, he is, because it's that nerve again, those guts. He wants to throw the ball. He doesn't see bad things that he's avoiding. He sees good things that he can make happen. And remember, no Darnell Mooney in this game. Drake London left late with a shoulder injury. Next week, they place Minnesota. So we're going to see what happens there. This was supposed to be a run-first team, or a team that you better come in ready to establish your run defense. And they did. In Tampa, they do have that run defense. And you did see Penix keep Atlanta in the game and do everything he possibly could. Again, it comes down to the kicker. You saw Drake London more short passes, like 15 targets. So that's what you're looking for, including end zone targets they just couldn't hook up on. Kyle Pitts, you saw, and you needed him to step up with Darnell Mooney out. You saw some short targets. You let him be a bully. Remember, he's a big guy in addition to being fast. And you just like seeing some competitive toughness from him, because that's what's been missing from his game. So that's a good sign. Not that we're going to see him ever achieve what we hoped or expected him to achieve. And Bijan Robinson, why did you take him number 1? He can be held to 20 whatever yards on the ground and still have a 25-point fantasy game, because he's that good as a receiver. He's that good out of the backfield as a receiver in terms of ball skills and after the catch. And so Atlanta, this is kind of like the note we had on New England. You're getting there. You're putting one foot in front of the other. You got to have a complete team effort without some of the breakdowns they had in this one to be able to beat the 4-time returning division champion. And again, another test for them next week at Minnesota.
We've got 4 games to go here on our week 1 recap. It is what?
Are we saving the Steelers for last?
Oh, we have 5 games? Sorry.
You're going to let me talk about the Steelers, man.
We're going to talk about the Steelers. Okay, let's get to the Steelers right now then. And I'll make a note in it's math and it's week 1. So we'll figure all that out. And when I look at the box score, you know what I have pinned? I have the Steelers and the Broncos pinned. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about those Pittsburgh Steelers over the New York Jets. 34-32, the final score. Aaron Rodgers, 244, 4 touchdowns. Count them up. DK Metcalf goes 4 for 83. Calvin Austin goes 4 for 70 and 1 of the touchdowns. Ben Skwarnek, 1 for 22 and 1 of the touchdowns. Jalen Warren with his new contract, 1 of the touchdowns. And Jonnu Smith, 1 of the touchdowns there as well. Freiermuth goes 3 for 28. Jalen Warren, 37 yards on the ground. Gainwell did maybe a little bit more than I thought he would do, although not much box score wise. Okay. Little bit higher score than some had thought, and 4 touchdowns for Aaron Rodgers. Bloom, I'll tell you, that wasn't on my bingo card.
No, this was, I love being pleasantly surprised by my teams like this, and I'm an erotic Steelers fan, so lump on me as much as you want. I'll take my lumps for being very pessimistic about this. And quickly through the fantasy stuff, like you said, Kenneth Gainwell well ahead of Caleb Johnson. I'm not going to tell you, if you loved Caleb Johnson in Iowa, you're like, I can't let him go. But he's going to be one of my shut him downs. He's a 3rd string running back getting in for like a touch. Okay. And look at the results of this offense. Don't look at the stats for the running backs. Look at the results for the offense. Okay. And you saw DK Metcalf. One thing you like about DK Metcalf here is they give him a wide receiver screen that he breaks for 35 yards. So at least Arthur Smith knows he can do more than run 9 routes and posts, right? You can do more than that with DK Metcalf. Calvin Austin, his touchdown was basically by design. It was just Aaron Rodgers executing the play, right? The pass to Jalen Warren, very similar, which is a really good play drawn up and executed well by the team in week one with a new quarterback. And then the Johnny Smith was the classic pop pass. And no, it's not going to be Pat Freiermuth well ahead of Johnny Smith. So, Calvin Austin, we'll talk about on the waiver wire show. He's kind of a what the heck flex type with Aaron Rodgers slinging it like this. But the offensive line played well. And when you have 4 different receivers catching touchdowns in week 1 in your first week in a new offense, and also just the way Aaron Rodgers executed, maybe here's what we underestimated, Cease. If there is a head coach in the NFL that can look Aaron Rodgers in the eye and say, hey, man, it's not about you. It's about us. Are you ready to do that? Mike Tomlin's probably the guy that can get through to you, and maybe for Aaron Rodgers, it's like a relief. It's like a relief just to go back to like being a football player again, like he was a Cal, before there were expectations, when he could just go out and enjoy playing football and be with his guys and make things happen. So at least for this week, because this was a very emotional game. If you watch this game, you saw these two teams were keyed up. See, I can't remember another week 1 game that faced the quarterbacks that were on the teams the previous year against each other. Like double revenge narrative, revenge triangulation. And for Aaron Rodgers to perform like this, and this is a game the Steelers, it looked like it was getting away from them on multiple occasions. And that tells me that Aaron Rodgers is just transmitting, hey, guys, it's okay. Let's just keep executing. Let's just keep doing our jobs. And this is going to, we're going to have a chance to influence the outcome of this game. And they did. And Jalen Ramsey made a huge hit on Garrett Wilson to separate him from the ball on the last gasp for the Jets. So the Steelers, even though the game was a shootout, the strangest shootout of the day, they ended it in a signature Steelers way. And Jalen Ramsey introduced himself to the Steelers fans. And maybe Jalen Ramsey, another guy who's like, this feels good, the Steelers way. It did for today.
It did for today. And I don't mean to take a dump on your week 1 parade. However, as I undo my belt, this is Aaron Rodgers' best day as a Steeler.
Probably. I mean, I can't wait to see something better.
And it's like, okay, it was against the Jets, and it was emotions running high. And even though we love and appreciate Mike Tomlin, you have to be more than Marvin Lewis with 1 ring. Because the Steelers are no longer about competing for Super Bowls. They're just like, they'll make the playoffs, and they're okay. Is everyone in Western PA okay with that? They shouldn't be, right, Bloom? You should not be okay with because they're talking about like as the game's going on, it's like the Steelers vaunted defense. Justin Fields was shredding them.
Yeah.
Fields very emotional. Fields very ramped up, dialed up. So I just look at Pittsburgh and I go, you're a wild card team at best. And everyone seems to be okay with that. And for me, that's not what Steelers football should be about. But either way, let's talk about Justin Fields and those Jets. And Fields going 218, 1 touchdown, no INTs, also 2 rushing touchdowns. You see that emotion from him. Breece Hall running beautifully, 19 for 107 in this one. Braylon Allen getting a rushing touchdown. It's the push, everybody. Garrett Wilson, 7 for 95 in the touch there. Breece Hall also had 2 for 38 as a receiver. Mason Taylor, Auntie Chill had 1 for 20. I'll always say that. So let's discuss these Jets and how they put up a fight, but come up short.
Yeah, and I want to mention Arthur Smith and Tanner Engstrand also, because maybe Arthur Smith is a really, really good offensive coordinator if he has a quarterback that can actually execute his plays, which probably didn't have last year with Justin Fields. And maybe he just never met Justin Fields in the middle the way that Tanner Engstrand seems like he has. And from Justin Fields, what we saw was actually keeping his eyes up and looking downfield when he broke the pocket and making passes. And Adiva's like, what? I didn't realize he could do that. I have to defend the pass when he breaks the pocket now? That could be an interesting development. You saw him passing to his college teammate, Garrett Wilson, who had a tremendous day. This is going to work out just fine. Okay. Troy Porter did get banged up. Deshaun Elliott got banged up. Put a pin in that. Steelers secondary next week. Well, it's a Seattle. Actually, it probably doesn't matter. Jackson Smith and Jigba's going to get his anyway. More on that later. But Steelers defense letting Breece Hall go off. Some of the biggest winners today, Travis Etienne, Breece Hall. Now, you saw Braylon Allen get a touchdown, and you saw Justin Fields get 2 touchdowns. Or else Breece Hall could have had like the next 3 running backs combined stats today. He looked great. And if you said, I don't care what the coaches are saying, I don't care what the beat writers are saying, I don't care what the splits are in preseason, I know Breece Hall can ball. You were right. You were right. And Justin Fields being more comfortable and Tanner Engstrand seeming like remember, this team just lost their best offensive lineman, Elijah Vera-Tucker, during the week. I just made up a new name from Vera-Tucker. They lost him during the week, and no one was talking about that after this game. No one was saying, oh my, I mean, now look how bad it's going to be without their best offensive lineman. That's big. And the Steelers defense might not be the Steelers defense of years past, but they're not the Bengals or the Dolphins, you know? I mean, this is still something for them to hang their hat on. So this is exciting for the Jets. It's really exciting for Justin Fields. I think that can show there's more to his game. And he was always right on that line where no team wanted to trust him, but he had so much to offer that some team was going to continue to make him a starter. But maybe he can get into that trustworthy zone. We'll see if he can do it again against Buffalo next week.
Tell your sister you were right. San Francisco 17, Seattle 13. Let's get there with Brock Purdy 277, 2 up and 2 down, 2 DDs, 2 INTs. The entire fantasy community was watching Christian McCaffrey, like, please don't get hurt in warmups. And then he had 22 carries for 69 yards, very nice total, and then 9 for 73 as a receiver. Ricky Pearsall with 4 for 108 on the day. The 2 touchdowns. George Kittle gets 1 on 4 for 25, and then Jake Tongs gets another one on 3 for 15. Juwan Jennings with 2 for 16. So a lot of concern hand-wringing over Christian McCaffrey. And, well, hey, leads to a win. And what is that, 140 all-purpose yards? Yeah, good.
A good day. A good day for Christian McCaffrey. And a big, big road win for the San Francisco offense. And let's give Brock Purdy his flowers in this one. Because not only did he lose George Kittle? Kittle gets the touchdown, and pretty quickly after that leaves with a hamstring injury. Loses Juwan Jennings with a shoulder injury. So really at this point, you're down to Ricky Pearsall and Christian McCaffrey and a very tough Seattle defense in Seattle. They made it happen with the touchdown pass to Jake Tongs, the backup. If you had who's your most unlikely player to score a game-winning touchdown, maybe not even this year. I mean, this entire season, going into the game. But let's give Purdy his props. Let's give Pearsall his props. Let's give Christian McCaffrey his props. And they're going to New Orleans. You know, not that imposing of a defense next week. I don't think you're going to see Kittle for a couple of weeks. Trent Williams got a little banged up in this one too. I don't think we're going to see Juwan Jennings. I think they're both having MRIs. Trent Williams got a little banged up. I think he'll be okay. And Brian Robinson is the clear backup. I think Garendo was trending to be healthy enough to play. But yeah, the headline here is Christian McCaffrey, and then Kittle getting hurt, and Jennings getting hurt, and Pearsall's good, and Purdy is good. And San Francisco looks like a team with some pluck again.
Yeah, again, we'll see if they can keep it up. It is against Seattle, and they hate each other. Sam Darnold goes for 150 yards. Okay. Most of it to Jackson Smith and Jigba. 9 for 124 in this one. Cooper Kupp, 2 for 15. Hello. Kenneth Walker, 20 yards on the ground. It was Zach Charbonnet with 47 yards on the ground and a rushing touchdown here. Walker also had 3 catches. So there you go. So Seattle going to need to do a little more than that.
Yeah. You need to win with your defense, and the defense didn't make the stop at the end. You did see Zach Charbonnet get, I think, 9 of the first 11 carries in this one and a touchdown. And yes, you saw Ken Walker used more in the passing game. I think this is a committee. See, so we talked about this for weeks in the preseason. When the coaches keep praising one of the backs and the other one's not practicing, it might not be this clear starter backup split. And we had a beat writer, I think it was Brady Henderson from ESPN, telling us without telling us. They said nobody from the organization has publicly said that there would be a committee, but maybe there's going to be a committee. And see, we talked about this during that show where like sometimes as a beat writer, like you do for us, you have to not come out and say something, but still let people know what's happening. And I think that's what's happening with this backfield. Now, maybe Ken Walker's not 100%. Maybe in a week or two we may see him get more. But Jackson Smith and Jigba's 100%. He's 100% of the passing game almost. Cooper Kupp, he doesn't have much left at this point. I mean, Cooper Kupp, whatever. Sam Darnold. Would you be shocked if I told you this game ended with Sam Darnold fumbling the ball under pressure? Nick Bosa. Like with that, no. How could that? That's the problem. We know what Sam Darnold's weakness is, and so do the opponents. But if you have defense, you have a running game, maybe you can still win some games. Not this one, and we'll see if they can do it next week at Pittsburgh.
Okay. Bloom, I hope you're okay.
Yeah.
The Steelers won, so you'll be all right. But your NFC team in the Detroit Lions, well,
oh boy.
27-13, the final score. Packers get the win. Let's talk about the Lions and Jared Goff, 225, 1 touchdown, 1 INT. Sam Laporta, 6 for 79 in this contest. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 for 45. Jahmyr Gibbs, 10 catches, 31 yards. And then 9 rushes, 19 yards. And then David Montgomery, 11 carries, 25 yards, and then 4 catches. Isaac Tesla didn't do a whole lot here. Did have a receiving touchdown, though. 1 catch, 13 yards, and then that lone receiving touchdown for the team. I'll merely ask you this. What happened?
Yeah, what happened is, I mean, Micah Parsons got some key pressures in this game. Jared Goff was efficient in terms of completion percentage. And this is one of those reasons where don't look at completion percentage because it was mostly passes to running backs, short passes, nothing downfield. They never got the run game going. And if you can't run the ball, if you're the Lions, everything's predicated on getting that run going. So it's outdoor Jared Goff. It's a Green Bay defense that just got one of the best defensive players in the league, and he's going to ramp up. But you did see some Sam Laporta. You did see one thing for the future. Isaac Tesla makes a garbage time, one-handed touchdown catch that looked impossible to get both feet down. You're watching it in real time. That's not a touchdown. And they slowed it down. And somehow it was a touchdown. So that's auspicious, maybe the universe winking at us a little bit saying, coming eventually, this guy who already can do things where I don't even know if he knows how he did it, but I know Green Bay knows how to shut down opponents. Next week, they're going to face Jaden Daniels again. And Detroit, they're going to go home. So we'll see indoor Jared Goff against the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, here we go. Green Bay Packers time. And Jordan Love, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, no INTs. It's Romeo with 2 for 68. It's Jaden Reed with 3 for 45 and a touchdown. Dontavian Wicks with 2 for 30. Tucker Kraft, there he is with the receiving touchdown. Matthew Golden, 2 for 16 in this contest. Where's everybody else? Like, oh, okay, so the team without a number 1 wide receiver spread it around, of course.
Yeah.
And then leaned on Josh Jacobs, of course. So
right.
There you go with Jacobs with the rushing touchdown. Recipe for success today, and a big one against Detroit.
Yeah, you saw Jordan Love was throwing the ball well today, but there was no good fantasy play in the Packers pass offense. Have you heard this before? Josh Jacobs was an okay play. He got that touchdown, I think 9 straight games with a touchdown now. So that's good. It wasn't like Detroit run defense is no pushover. So it wasn't like they were able to crease them. And the Green Bay defense may set this up to be the standard game script for this offense. Like you said, Tucker Kraft getting a touchdown. You had a touchdown for Jaden Reed, who looks okay. Matthew Golden, at least, got his first 2 NFL catches. But we'll see. Washington's going to be a good test. If they can hold Jaden Daniels down next week the way they held down this Lions offense, then we might have to really just resign ourselves to this as the game script. But you know what? They don't care. The Packers don't care at all. They just want to win. And when they made that move to get Micah Parsons, that showed me here's an organization that's willing to change their ways. Here's an organization. See, you were talking about the Steelers saying, are you satisfied with this? Are you satisfied with this? The Packers said, we're not satisfied with this. Sounds like they were the only team that was seriously in on Micah Parsons. And for that, I applaud them.
It is funny, though. And I don't know who had the report, but Howie called.
Yeah. Click.
I know we play you twice a year and we pretty much hate you and your fans and everything about you, but you want to trade? Howie.
Yeah.
Biggest balls in the NFL.
Yeah. You got to try. What do you say, Cecil, if you don't ask? The answer is no.
Right. Yep. Now I'm going to get an email from Joe. Can you stop talking about Howie Roseman's balls, please? Anyway, I do love him. And, I love his balls as well. All right. We'll stop the gargling for now, and we'll talk about Rams and Texans 14-9. Oh,
nothing to gargle in this game unless we're talking about Puka Nacua.
Okay, the rare week one. Let's just do both teams, because outside of Puka, I'm just looking again. I'm in Broncos mode, so I wasn't able to watch this game.
Sure.
But I'm just looking over it now. And I'm like, oh God,
quiet.
Yeah, pretty damn quiet here. Let's do everybody here before we wrap up with the Broncos.
And the worry is Nico Collins was quiet, not as Rams. Houston gets Tampa next week. It's also not a pushover. Kyren Williams got a touchdown. Puka Nacua is the man. We debated this at times, and it looked like, hey, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, this 2-round gap in ADP, but it should have been 5. I don't know. Well, really, it shouldn't have been 5. Just Puka Nacua, congratulations if you bought the dip whenever we were worried about Matthew Stafford's back. Now I say that, and Stafford made it to the game in one piece. He survived. Woo! Derek Stingley Jr., the best corner. The Texans got hurt in this one. And Rams are going to face Tennessee. Wonder how Tennessee did today.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Here to wrap up the show. It is a Steelers show, and it is a Broncos show. And we won't belabor this because it was 20-12. And it was really Cam Ward. Bloom, if you'd like to talk about Cam Ward. I mean, I think Bo Nix and those turnovers. We can do this game all at once, too, because it wasn't a great game. And the Broncos offense, as I had alerted everyone, mainly in Broncos country, of like, hey, it's going to be rough. It was rough. Now, Troy Franklin's showing a bit more. Sutton showing up, of course. Evan Ingram has a calf injury. Let's see what that leads to. And it's not like anyone's picking up Lucas Kroll, but like that's a blow. J.K. Dobbins comes through, although not yet. 4 yards a carry. R.J. Harvey with the big run. You know, it's been years since they had a run over 22 yards. R.J. Harvey in his first game had a run of 50 yards. So there's some things to take away. Bo being turnover prone was not on my bingo card today. Mm-hmm. And then Cam Ward being relentless because, well, that's what Cam Ward is.
Yeah, and I mean, with Ward, you're just happy he kept throwing punches. He didn't ever seem overwhelmed or intimidated, even though he should have been. He should have been. So that's good. And you saw him making some plays under pressure at times. That looks like a veteran play. That looks like a guy who, when the bullets are flying around him in the pocket, can keep his head about him. But it's Denver's defense. Tony Pollard's the engine of the offense, but he fumbled. And as far as the passing stats otherwise, it's just unfair to even rate them on this game. We all knew this was going to be a dud. It looked like it was the Bo Nix offense, which, like you said, Cease, is he ready for that? He didn't look like he was ready for that. You got the Evan Ingram injury. So maybe if this offense eventually gets better, we get a little more of a look at Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin. But it's the Courtland Sutton offense. At least Courtland Sutton's the guy we can count on. Bo Nix knows he's the guy that he can count on. We did see J.K. Dobbins come on in the second half and get the rushing touchdown. But like you said, Cease, Harvey with that long run, giving them something to think about. This is going to be a 2-back backfield. But if they're not excelling on offense, then we got 2 what-the-heck flexes. Now, again, what do they do against a game Tennessee defense, but one that we look at on paper and we say, really? That's all you could muster against Tennessee? Now, what do we think about the Indy defense after what they did to Miami? Is everyone going to do that to Miami? We'll see when Indy faces Denver next week.
Yeah, always watching with great interest. And 20 years of doing our live recaps, Bloom, and we've got live waiver wire back.
Yeah, so Tuesday morning.
Live show, and you love the live chat. We'll be live on Tuesday, and you'll get to see me sweat to see if I can get to the studio on time. But we're here for you.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it, however accelerated we may be, both on the show and in my car. But either way, we're here, and we're back, and we're live, Bloom. We love it.
And we love everybody out there. And it is a joy. Cease, at this point, I think that part of the bridge that my consciousness makes from this to the next world to soothe me when I have to make that journey, I'm probably just going to be doing a show with you and we're just going to be talking about like the journey to the afterlife or something, because it just feels so comfortable here with you and with all of you people and with football, and so much to process and react to together and share it. And thank you, everybody. And we're going to be there for you all the way to the end.
All the way. We are here for you. He is Sigmund Bloom. And Allie on base says, here comes the Bloom quote. That's right. That's right. Here's your Bloom quote. We love it. We appreciate you all out there. That is for sure. He is Sigmund Bloom. Follow him on the socials at Sigmund Bloom. I'm at Cecil Lammey saying, thanks for watching, everyone. Watch the other videos that may or may not pop up. Stay tuned. And as always, stay frosty.